Everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are here, it's probably because you watched the first half of my February wrap-up and you came back to see what else I read. So if you are joining me from part 1, welcome back. If you are joining me from not watching part 1, then hello, and I'll link part 1 right up there for you so you can watch that. So I still have 5 books to talk about, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. First one is The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I listened to this on audio and it was not my favorite. I kind of thought that listening to an H.G. Wells on audio would be a really good idea because War of the Worlds was originally like a radio program and everybody freaked out and thought that it was like a real thing and that kind of deal. So I kind of thought that it would be a really good thing to listen to. I don't know if it was the narration or just the actual, story itself, but I didn't find myself engaged. It was interesting, and it's kind of told like a story within a story. You have your time traveler who is telling this story to the narrator, and the narrator is telling us. So, like I said, there were just a couple points where I didn't really care. It's really hard to explain. I just was not engaged. I'm wondering if I wouldn't feel more differently if I actually went through and read it, but I kind of feel like I wouldn't. A lot of people really love this book, and like if you do, that's cool, but it really just wasn't for me, but I definitely plan on reading more Wells in the future. So the next book that I read was Homegoing by Ya Gyasi. I'm hoping that I'm saying that right. So I read this book in ebook format, though I definitely loved it so much that I want to own a physical copy. This is a story that follows the family lines of 2 half-sisters in Ghana. They never meet, they share the same mother, but while one is married off to a white man, the other one is sold into slavery. And so each of the chapters is told from a different point of view from a different member of the family. And this goes through 300 years of history, so it's extremely ambitious. One of the reasons that it's so ambitious is because you're spanning such a large amount of time. And there are so many things that are covered in this, not just like their individual stories, but there are a lot of other things that are touched upon, from slave trade in Ghana, colonialism, slavery in America, the Great Migration, segregation, all of those things are covered. And it also surprised me how the author was really able to make me care so much about these characters in 20 pages. And it was just such an intense emotional experience, but it was just so powerful on so many different levels. And one of the things that I loved so much about this book is the title Homegoing is not an end destination at the end of this novel. It's really a destination for each of the characters throughout this. There's a lot of different themes that are covered in this book as well, such as finding home, complicity, as well as belief, and really what that looks like for each of the characters involved. And it's definitely a story that I have been constantly thinking about since I finished it. This book is definitely so far a contender for one of the best books that I've read so far this year. It was absolutely beautiful, and I highly, highly recommend that you read it. Definite 5-star read for me. Another thing that I sat down to read this month was a short essay, We Should All Be Feminist by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And I loved this. I really did. It's like a modified TED Talk that she did about feminism and why we should all be feminists. So there's your synopsis right there. I don't really have that much to say about it except for the fact that everybody should read it, and the fact that it's really about challenging ideas and challenging the way that we're bringing up our daughters and our sons, and really how gender equality is ingrained in us from the very beginning. And not just in America, but globally, because she is Nigerian born, and so she does talk a lot about her experiences in Nigeria compared to some of her experiences in America as well. And so that aspect of it was very interesting. But I definitely recommend reading this. So, I mean, I don't know if I would star rate this because it's kind of an essay, but I would rate it 5 stars because it's real good. The next book that I finished was also on ebook format, and that is On the Edge of Gun by Corinne Doivus. I hope that I'm saying that right. I'm really sorry if I'm saying it wrong. I gave this one 4 stars. This book was the book that I chose for Diversity Bingo for the neurodiverse main character. This book is actually own voices in that the main character actually is autistic and the writer is autistic as well. This is a young adult science fiction post-apocalyptic or just apocalyptic story about a girl and her struggle to find a safe place for her mother, herself, and her sister as there is a comet hurtling towards the earth. So this was an interesting book from the get-go, and I really loved the way that Denise, our main character, the way that her voice was written. I really feel like this book, while there are things happening in the plot, it is also very character driven in a way, and it really is more of a survival story as Denise is, you know, trying to find a way to, you know, keep her family safe, essentially. The relationships in this book were really well developed. There is Denise and her sister Iris, who is actually a transgendered character as well, and their relationship with their mother, who is actually a drug addict. And out of all of the people in this book, I found myself not liking the mother. I thought that she was a complete shithead, and I did not feel sorry for her or some of the things that she specifically had to deal with throughout the course of the book, you know, but I felt bad for Denise because, you know, that's her mom. So the thing that I loved most about this book was the fact that the story did not center around the fact that Denise had autism. The story centered around the fact that Denise is a smart, kick-ass girl who just happens to have autism. Like, that's a side fact. That is not the main point of the story. The main point of the story is that Denise is strong, she is smart, she is willing to do whatever she has to do to help the people that she loves, and she just happens to be autistic. It's just, you know, a fact. It's not, she didn't accomplish the things that she accomplished in spite of the fact that she had autism. She just accomplished these things because that's who she is, and that's the way that the book was written, and I really did enjoy that about her. So not only is this own voices in the Department of Autism, but there's loads of other diversity in it as well. As I already mentioned, there is a transgender character. There is also Jewish characters, Muslim characters, I believe lesbian characters as well. And Denise herself is actually biracial, so she is part Dutch and part, I think her dad is from Suriname or something along those lines. If I remember correctly, I can't remember 100% right now. I just know that she's biracial. So it was definitely packed with diversity. The story itself was pretty good. So I gave this one a solid 4 stars. I definitely did enjoy it. And the last book that I managed to finish this month, which I just barely squeezed in, but I found myself so engrossed in it that I actually ended up finishing it. Hello, you just don't want to leave your mama alone. And that book is Before We Visit the Goddess by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. If I am saying that incorrectly, I apologize. I looked up how to say it and everybody said it differently, so sorry. Gave this book 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. I listened to this on audio. It is told from multiple points of view, so it is narrated by different people. All the narrators were really good. So this is another multi-generational story. It's about 3 women, grandmother, mother, daughter. They are 3 Indian women, and I'm really not going to say much more than that just because it's difficult to explain. This is an own voices book in that the author is also Indian American. So like I said, I listened to it on audio. The narration was excellent. There were times where I almost felt like a short story collection because not only were there the 3 main characters, but there were also some points where different side characters, their points of view were also thrown in. It was very non-linear. It kind of jumps around from certain times in the past to the present. There are times where you're told backstories through flashbacks and things like that. So there were a couple of times where I kind of struggled with the plot and the timeline, but I really loved the story. It is a story, sorry, I'm like, my arm's doing funny things, but I'm just, you know, petting my cat because she does not want to leave me alone right now. So this is a book that's about mother and daughter relationships. It is a book that is about love and family and really about cultural heritage and knowing who you are, which I really enjoyed. One of my favorite things about this book was the cultural heritage aspect of it. It centers a lot around, especially like the food. That's one of the things that really brought it to life. I was conflicted about some of the characters and some of their actions, you know, throughout the book, but I kind of felt like it came full circle at the end, and, you know, as you went on and you really started to understand these characters, you know, it really came together for me. So I found myself really engrossed in the story and really enraptured by it. It was really interesting. It was heartfelt. I definitely recommend it. It was very good. And this was an author that I had never heard of before. I actually downloaded this audiobook on a whim just because I think it was a daily deal, and I'm really glad that I did, and this is definitely an author that I want to read more of. So that is my wrap up, all 11 books that I read during the month of February. Comment down below and let me know what you think of these books. Have you read any of them? What were your opinions? Talk to me. I love talking to you guys. We can be friends. You can find the links to all of my social media, Twitter, Goodreads, Instagram, down in the description box below. As always, if you like this video and you want to see more, make sure you give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you have not already. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.